It was supposed to be just another quiet evening for Marcus, a hard-working single dad juggling 2 jobs and raising his little girl on his own. But fate had other plans. On a crowded city street, as rain poured down and people rushed past, he noticed a woman collapse near her luxury car, a woman who looked like she belonged to another world. Without hesitation, Marcus ran to her side, performing CPR with trembling hands until help arrived. What he didn't know then was that this single act of compassion would change both of their lives forever, and what happened next would leave an entire city in tears. Marcus had always lived a simple, honest life. A single father working 2 jobs, his days began before sunrise and ended long after the world had gone quiet. Despite the exhaustion, he never let his daughter Maya see him falter. She was his world, his reason to keep pushing forward. Every morning, before heading to his shift as a mechanic, he'd drop her at school with a smile, telling her, "We may not have much, but we've got each other, and that's everything." That evening, the city was drenched in rain. The streets glistened under the flickering glow of traffic lights. Marcus had just finished a long shift and was walking home when he noticed a sleek black Bentley parked awkwardly near the curb. The driver's door was slightly open, and through the rain he saw someone slumped over the steering wheel. Most people passed by without a second glance. No one wanted to get involved. But something in Marcus's heart wouldn't let him walk away. He rushed over, his shoes splashing through puddles, and found a woman unconscious, her skin pale, her breathing shallow. Her clothes screamed wealth, a tailored suit, diamond earrings. But to Marcus, she was just another human being in danger. He pulled open the door and quickly checked for a pulse. Weak. His heart pounded as he remembered the CPR training he'd once had at work. He began chest compressions, counting under his breath, rain soaking through his clothes, hoping someone would call for help. Moments later, sirens blared in the distance. When the paramedics arrived, they took over instantly. Marcus stepped back, his hands trembling, unsure if she would make it. He didn't even ask her name. He just stood there in the pouring rain, watching the ambulance pull away, feeling a strange mix of fear and hope. Then, quietly, he turned and walked home. The next morning, he went about his day as usual, packing Maya's lunch, fixing an engine at the shop, doing what he always did to keep life steady. But later that week, something unexpected happened. A black car pulled up outside the repair shop. Out stepped a woman dressed elegantly but with warmth in her eyes. It was her, the woman from that night. Her name was Evelyn Hart, a billionaire businesswoman known across the city for her luxury real estate empire. She had recovered and spent days trying to find out who had saved her life. When she finally stood before Marcus, she could hardly find the words. "You didn't even know who I was," she said softly, "and yet you stayed until help came. You saved my life." Marcus shrugged it off, saying anyone would have done the same, but deep down, he knew that wasn't true. People had walked by that night, people who didn't stop. Evelyn looked around the humble repair shop and noticed the worn tools, the cracked floor, the determination in his eyes. She insisted on thanking him properly, but Marcus refused any kind of reward. All he wanted was to keep working, to take care of his daughter. Evelyn, however, couldn't forget the kindness she'd been shown. Days turned into weeks, and she began visiting him often, sometimes bringing lunch, sometimes just to talk. What started as gratitude slowly grew into something more profound, a connection between 2 people from completely different worlds. Evelyn was fascinated by Marcus's humility, his resilience, the way he found joy in small things. Marcus admired her strength and how she treated everyone with respect despite her wealth. For Maya, Evelyn became a kind of fairy godmother, someone who'd show up with books, art supplies, and a warmth that made their little apartment feel brighter. But behind those moments of happiness, Evelyn was carrying a secret. The heart attack she had suffered wasn't her first warning. Doctors had told her she had a rare condition that could worsen over time. The night Marcus saved her, she had been rushing from a business meeting, ignoring her health, believing her success made her invincible. But Marcus's act of compassion had changed her perspective. She started slowing down, spending less time in boardrooms and more time with people who truly mattered. Over time, she invited Marcus and Maya to her mansion for dinner. The contrast between their worlds was staggering. Chandeliers, marble floors, a view that stretched across the city skyline. Marcus felt out of place at first, but Evelyn made him feel at ease. During dinner, she said, "You saved my life that night, but you also reminded me what it means to live." From that moment on, Evelyn began supporting Marcus in quiet, thoughtful ways. She offered him an opportunity to expand his garage, helping him secure better equipment and more clients. She didn't do it as charity. She did it because she believed in him. Marcus's business started thriving, and soon he was able to hire more workers, even mentor local youth who needed a second chance. Evelyn often visited, standing in the corner of the shop, smiling proudly as she watched him bring his dreams to life. But their bond went beyond business. There was an unspoken affection, a connection that neither could easily describe. For Evelyn, Marcus represented everything her world had lacked: authenticity, simplicity, love that wasn't tied to wealth. For Marcus, Evelyn became proof that kindness could bridge even the widest gap between worlds. One evening, months after their first meeting, Evelyn invited Marcus and Maya to a charity gala she was hosting. It was a night filled with lights, music, and speeches about generosity. But when Evelyn took the stage, she surprised everyone. She began telling the story of a man who had once saved her life, not knowing her name, her fortune, or her power. She spoke about his courage, his selflessness, and how that single act had changed everything. When she revealed Marcus's name, the audience erupted in applause. Cameras flashed as Evelyn walked off the stage and handed him a plaque engraved with words that would stay with him forever. "A hero is not defined by wealth or power, but by heart." Marcus stood there speechless, tears welling up in his eyes as he looked at his daughter smiling in the crowd. That night became a turning point not only for him, but for everyone who heard the story. News outlets picked it up, and soon the video went viral. People across the world were touched by the simple mechanic who had saved a billionaire's life. Donations poured into Marcus's community center project, something he had been planning to help struggling families. Evelyn used her influence to make it bigger, turning it into a program that offered free car repair training for underprivileged youth. Their lives became intertwined, not through obligation but through shared purpose. They began spending holidays together, celebrating milestones, and building memories that felt more like family than friendship. Maya adored Evelyn, often calling her Aunt Eve, and Evelyn cherished every moment with them, but fate had another test waiting. Evelyn's condition began to worsen. Despite her wealth and access to the best medical care, her heart grew weaker. She never told Marcus until the symptoms became too severe to hide. When he found out, he was devastated. He sat by her hospital bed holding her hand, telling her she'd get through it like she always